Today is Monday, May 4th, 2020. May the 4th be with you. Today's ELA lesson is writing a story. Writing a story, it helps your imagination grow. We're specifically talking about a narrative where you are the narrator. Our vocabulary for today's lesson is listed on our webpage that we're going to be looking at. Our first one is character. It is a person or animal in the story. Narrator. The person who tells the story. It can be one of the characters. Plot. How the writer organizes the sequence of events in a story. Point of view. The perspective from which a narrative is told. Narrative writing tells a story. It has characters. It goes in sequential order. It has a beginning, middle, and an end.
Writing a personal narrative. Episode 1. Brainstorming. Do you know what a personal narrative is? A personal narrative is a true story about your life. You can write about something that has happened to you. When we brainstorm, we think about all of the different things that we could write about. Brainstorming helps us find the best possible topic for our writing. When you brainstorm personal narrative topics, you can think about good memories you have about things that have happened to you, fun things that you've done with your family or friends, trips you have taken or special places you have visited, activities you have done at school, or anything else that has happened to you in your life. It's important to choose a topic that you care about and remember lots of details about. This will help you write a great personal narrative. So here is my brainstorming sheet. I'm going to think of some things that I've done that I'd like to write about. I will draw a sketch and a few words to remember my ideas. Then I'm going to choose one idea that's my favorite. So first, I'm thinking I could write about when I played kickball at recess yesterday. That was super fun. Or I could write about my birthday party last summer. I could tell about all the gifts I got, games we played. I could also write about when my mom took me to the store this weekend and I got a new toy. Or I could write about when I visited my grandparents for Christmas. I could write about when I got my dog and I was so excited. Or I could write about when I watched fireworks in the park on 4th of July. Wow, so now I have 6 ideas to choose from. Let's see. I don't think I'll write about visiting my grandparents because it was sort of a long time ago and I don't really remember enough details. Today, I think I will write about when I got a new dog. I can save the rest of my ideas for later. So that's it. I've chosen my topic and I'm ready to start writing. Check out episode. Prewriting is what you do before you write your story. You make a plan for your writing. You think about what will go on each page you write. I have already brainstormed and chosen a topic for my story, so now I'm ready to plan and pre-write. I'm going to write about when I got my new dog. So, first I need to think about what important things happened that I'm going to write about. I have 4 pages, so I'm going to think about what will go on each page. The first thing that happened was my mom told me I could get a dog. Then we went to the store because they had some dogs that needed to be adopted. Next, we looked at all the dogs and we chose the one that we wanted. And then last, we got the dogs some food and some toys on our way home. So now I have a plan for my story. When I'm ready to write my draft, I can look at my plan to remember what to write on each page. A narrative is a true story about your life. You write about something that has happened to you. An introduction is the first few sentences of your story. It can also be called the opening or the lead. We write introductions to hook the reader. We want the person reading our story to be interested and excited to read more. There are a lot of different ways you can hook a reader. I'm going to show you 4 different ways. The first way you could hook a reader is to start your story with a sound. These are called onomatopoeias. For example, you might start your story by writing, "Boom! I heard a loud crash in my house." The reader would wonder, I wonder what that crash was all about. They would be interested to read the rest of your story. Another way you could hook the reader is by starting your story with talking. This is called dialogue. For example, you could start by writing, "Go away, I told my brother." The reader would probably want to read more to find out what your brother was doing. You could also start your story by asking the reader a question. For example, you could ask, "Have you ever been to a water park?" This would help the reader make a personal connection to your story. People are more likely to like stories that they can relate to. And last, you could start your story by describing the setting. The setting is where and when your story happens. For example, you might write, "One dark, stormy night last weekend, I was home alone." I bet the reader would want to read more about what happened on that dark and stormy night. So now I have several options about how to start my story. Have you ever felt so happy you could cry? That's how I felt last summer when my mom told me I could get a dog. I had wanted a dog for so long, I couldn't believe I was finally going to get one. Hopefully, people will read the introduction to my story and they will be hooked. 4. Writing a draft. A personal narrative is a true story about your life. You write about something that has happened to you. A draft is the very first version of your story. In your draft, you tell the most important events in the order that they happened. There are a few important things you should write in your draft. First, your draft should include the important things that happened that relate to the main idea of your story. If something is not interesting or important, then you don't need to write it. Your draft should also have transition words. These words help the reader understand the order in which events happened. We also use these words to link our ideas together. Some examples of these words are first, then, next, after, last, and finally. There are many more too. You should choose ones that make sense and sound the best to you. Your draft should also have details. That means you should use descriptive words and sentences that help the reader imagine your story in their mind. Anyone should be able to read your story and imagine exactly what happened. This also makes your story more interesting and fun to read. Now, I'm going to write my draft. Here's the plan I've already made for my story. I decided I would write about when my mom told me I could get a dog. We went to the store, then we chose our dog, and last we got food and toys for it on our way home. I've already written my opening. It says, "Have you ever felt so happy you could cry? That's how I felt last summer when my mom told me I could get a dog. I had wanted a dog for so long. I couldn't believe I was finally going to get one." Now I'm going to start writing the first page of my draft. First, my mom came to my room to talk to me. She told me since I had gotten good grades at school, I could get a dog. I was so excited, I jumped up in the air. Did you see how I started with the transition word first? This told the reader that this was the very first thing that happened. I'm going to start with the transition word then. Then we got in the car to drive to the store. I couldn't wait. I smiled the whole way there. When we pulled up, I saw that the store had a lot of dogs that needed to be adopted. Can you picture in your mind what happened? When we got to the store, I looked at all of the dogs. They were all so cute. All of a sudden, one came up and licked my foot. He was white and fluffy and so adorable. I decided he was the dog for me. I am going to start with the word finally to tell the reader that this is the last thing that happened. Finally, we put him in the car to take him home. He was wagging his tail and sticking his tongue out. On our way home, we stopped to get him some toys, food, and a collar. That's it.
All right, here we have our point of view sunglasses that we've spent a lot of time looking at this school year. First person, I, we, me, my, our. Second person, your. And third person, anything with they, them. Here are some things, too, that we just discussed about narratives. So I hope that all of this is really helpful for you. Lastly, we have this section here where this is style, the style of when you are going to be writing. So you use words that kind of draw people in with the sound and what they see and what they hear and what they might taste or smell. Those are all sensory details, also with the style. Take your time when you're writing, do the very best you can, and I look forward to reading what you have written. Know that you can write it on a piece of paper and take a picture of it and send it to me rather than typing it.